morning, everyone. This is John for MTG Nexus, playing another stream this morning. I was planning on streaming last night, but some stuff came up, so I figured I would be better off trying to stream a little bit this morning. Doing a little bit more Pioneer. The next stream out will be a modern burn one, so for those of you who are on this channel primarily for the burn, we'll definitely be doing some more of that the next league. But this league is another Pioneer deck. This is more of a controlling deck. This is a Bant Field of the Dead deck, very similar to what recently just got banned out of Standard, with some important upgrades from previous sets. This deck in Standard would play Scapeshift. In this particular version is opting not to play Scapeshift, as many people realize that the combo version of the deck was not necessarily where you wanted to be. It was more of a mid-range that ended up being the best choice. And as far as that goes, the centerpiece card of this deck is definitely the card Hour of Promise. Allows you to go find your copies of Field of the Dead and any other various utility lands you might want to find. Those of you who aren't familiar, primary win con of this deck is Field of the Dead, as opposed to Modern, where the win con was Valakut and a bunch of mountains. This one makes a bunch of zombies. This deck is more trying to set up a kind of value Field of the Dead plan and play a controlling game in the meantime. You use things like Arboreal Grazer, Elvish Rejuvenator, and Growth Spiral to both accelerate you, and also to kind of buy you time to get to Supreme Verdict and sell the wreckage. Turn 3 Supreme Verdict, turn 3 sell the wreckage can buy you a long enough time usually to set up Hour of Promise for Field of the Dead, and then start chaining Revelations into kind of winning the game, which is an arbitrary large amount of zombies. To enable Field of the Dead, you have a bunch of one-of lands. The big notables being things like Blast Zone to sweep certain permanents away, Castle Vantras to help scry to whatever you're looking for, Scavenging Grounds to be able to take care of graveyard decks, at least on a slower basis, some scry lands, some life gain lands, just a various mix of things, with an emphasis on being able to cast double white for Supreme Verdict on 3, or 4 potentially, and then other random things in the deck. Teferi Time Raveler, obviously a very powerful card, enables you to kind of protect your things, also can bounce random permanents that are problematic. Detention Sphere, this is basically your only way in the main deck to pressure Planeswalker, or deal with Planeswalkers before the mid-game. Also helps you to kill random creatures or whatever other permanents bothering you, and at least on a temporary basis against some decks, to buy yourself some time to get your Field of the Deads take over. And then your random copy of Spring to Mind, which is another way to get another land into play, and then Dig Through Time to help you dig for what you're looking for. And then Sphinx's Rev, kind of your Hydroid Krasis of the deck. This is kind of the OG Hydroid Krasis. Tends to draw you more cards than Krasis would, especially as the mana gets bigger and bigger. It does have the downside of not being able to attack and block, but generally when you're chaining Revelations, you're able to stay alive long enough to stabilize with your Field of the Dead plan, and there aren't too many things in the format that can really attack Field of the Dead, and it's not really a priority until maybe some of the bannings come down. I've seen some banning talk. People were already talking about things like Cat Combo, or Leyline Abundance, or some other random things that people are talking about. I honestly think they should ban the enablers, like Once Upon a Time, that kind of stuff, but, you know, Wizards says they're going to be aggressive with bans, so I guess we'll see what happens. I believe the ban list is actually coming down tomorrow. Beyond that, on the sideboard, we've got 3 copies of Rest in Peace for any type of like Kethis combo or Aristocrats builds. Sell the Wreckage when you need a 6 sweeper for some reason. 2 copies of Lyra Dawnbringer when you need an alternative win con. Also pretty good against any red-based aggressive decks you might be facing off, as generally this can come down. It could potentially come down as early as turn 3 or 4, which is a lot of times is enough to stabilize against the red decks. A whole pile of counterspells for any type of mid-range and controlling matchups. Well, this deck doesn't particularly care about something like Oko. It is nice to have a variety of counterspells. Disdainful Stroke for anything over 4 or greater. This can hit your Felidar Guardians, your Aetherworks Marvels, some of your problematic Planeswalkers, Mystical Dispute kind of fights through Okos and opposing Teferis, Dovin's Veto to kind of help protect your combo or kill an important opponent's piece. Broken Bond here is your Disenchant effect that also allows you to put land in play. And 2 copies of Walking Ballista pretty much comes in against the other aggressive decks and can also be a way for you to kind of pressure other opposing planeswalkers in the early to mid game. Alright, that said, let's get into the league, see how things go this morning. So, last time out we played Is It Phoenix? I'm still not sure what kind of Pioneer content I'm going to lean towards. I know the modern content's still going to continue to be heavily burned, as that was largely what this channel has been based on. So, I do apologize for those of you who are here primarily for the modern content. I will be mixing that in as I can. Obviously, Pioneer has taken a lot of Modern's thunder away. And regardless of how the league goes, I'm going to have to cut it off at about 7:15, 7:30, just because of I need to get back to sleep before work. But I was up early this morning for a couple of different reasons. Is this hand good enough? It's certainly interesting. We had an untapped land on 3. This hand's pretty decent, so I think I'm inclined to keep it. Looking for land drops, which... yeah, I guess. Definitely going to be a slow develop hand. If this is it Phoenix, we could be in some decent shape. Our opponent probably should have sequenced Sulfur Falls first. But also could be any number of other things. Yeah. I think just want to go ahead and bottom that Field of the Dead. Doesn't feel great, obviously, but this was one of the concerns with this deck, is there's a lot of CI comes into play tap lands. So, alright, it's strategic planning. It's unlikely they're going to be able to flip thing this turn. See what land we hit off this. Pass turn. So if our opponent is able to flip thing, we'll be alright this turn, I think. Which it looks like they're going to be able to. The funny part is, with this deck not being sure. guess they could bring back some Phoenixes this turn, which would kind of suck. See how many Phoenixes they've actually drawn. No Phoenixes, just a Fire Temper. So this will put us to 11. So I can either waste a scry here and set up 6 different land type, get Field of the Dead, make a bunch of the dudes. I feel like I'm wasting the scry here, yes, but the choice is simply to get... I think I'm supposed to get another Field of the Dead and a Scavenger Grounds. I guess we could also potentially get Blast Zone, but I think Scavenger Grounds is just better. Unfortunately, we have our 2 Detention Spheres to deal with any Phoenix shenanigans, or... Yep, I gotta commit another thing to the board. Treasure Cruise. Mm-hmm. One, two, three, four. Let's go ahead and verdict this all away. Just kind of take over the game from here. Feels like they're going on a Phoenix plan now. One thing I did notice is even with Treasure Cruises, this deck does have a bit of an issue sometimes. So 2 spells. Okay. So we're going to 4 here, which is a little scary. Chart a course. I suppose there is some combination of cards that could kill us here. Another treasure cruise. So D-sphere, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3. So 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I can rev for 3 and D-sphere without. First matter, of course. Attack with everything here. White, blue, that. Blue, blue. Red for 3 here. Grazer and Forest were excellent draws. It means our opponent basically has no outs here. And now the game is done. Most likely. I guess they could have enough burn spells here to kill us, but they've already burned through 1, 2, 3 Fiery Tempers and 3 copies of Wild Slash. Sure. I mean, even if you flip Thing here, not going to really do you a whole lot. And Bant Scapes. Alright, so our opponent could be bringing in Planeswalkers. Rest in Peace might be decent against them. The only problem is, like, what cards? And they have, obviously, the counter spells. So, how do we want to try to approach that? Problem is that so much of our main deck's already pretty good against what they're doing. What cards would I actually want? Rest in Peace attacks the Phoenix and Treasure Cruise end of their decks. Lyra is tempting, but I don't think we need Lyra in this matchup. Mystical Dispute could be fine. Dovin's Veto could be fine. Maybe Ballista just to attack Planeswalkers. Honestly, it feels like our main deck's really good against what they're doing anyway, especially since we're not necessarily reliant on our non-creature spells to resolve, and a good bit of their counter spells are probably mystical disputes. So maybe I'm supposed to bring in, like, Ballista just really pressures Planeswalkers. That's about it. Is that enough? Yeah, go with that. Bring in the 2 Ballistas, go down the dig through time. Sand doesn't have enough lands in it, so I guess it's going to be a mulligan. No lands plus no green source. I think this hand's fine. So I guess we'll just put the plains on the bottom. Probably should have actually put the scattered groves into play there. Just gonna pass the turn here. No reason to play into counter magic, especially when they're not likely doing anything else this turn. If they go for an end of turn Is It Charm, I might go ahead and yeah, just let that resolve. Sure. I'm probably interested in another copy of that in case they have a Spell Pierce or something. This is a Phoenix turn. Looking like the answer to that's no. It's an interesting art. the ability to make some zombies. Should probably do this on their end step. Can't cast that with Teferi in play. Sure. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So Field the Dead and either Scavenger Grounds or Castle Vantress or potentially Blast Zone here. Guess we just get Fabled Passage, get a bunch of triggers. Let's continue to tick up to Fairy here. Get that Chandra off the board. Do I de-sphere this? I think the answer is no. I think we just hold up Supreme Verdict. Now our promise here. Arclight Phoenix, sure. Can I set up lethal here? One, two, three, four, five, six, 7. And tap and kill you. Seems pretty good. Almost felt like that was not exactly playing the same game of Magic there. Too legit to quit. Hand seems reasonable. Could be a little bit on the slow side, obviously. Of course, with the nature of lands in our deck, we are a little bit on the slow side. Alright, so we're up against the Mana Dork deck. Lack of a better term. So we have access to 4 mana on turn 2. Yeah, that seems fair, right? Oh, another leyline, great. So next turn we can verdict if we have to. That's a lot of mana. Definitely feels like we need to verdict this turn. Pass turn. Okay. Two, three, four, five. Means we're not going to be doing it any sooner, but I think at this point I'm okay with 1, 2, 3. Probably should look up exactly what these decks are capable of. Obviously, they could drop a Nissa Who Shakes the World, which would be the scariest thing they could probably do here. Lost connection to the game, sure. One, two, three, four. See if our opponent comes back. In the meantime, this deck is... Oh, they're back. Cool. So now they can generate 4... So they can generate 4... So they can currently have... 6 mana, 7 mana for creatures. Guess there's no reason to rev right now. For 4. What you got here, friend? Let's close out the game over a couple of turns. Cycle this. Could have cast Spring, I guess, but we already have lethal on board, so once upon a time, sure. Do they have the ability to cast Ulamog? Does Ulamog even matter? So, what are we expecting out of their nonsense? Vetoes and strokes could be reasonable. Don't know that Settle the Wreckage is necessary, but probably bring in the strokes and the vetoes, potentially. Maybe go down. There's still a creature-based deck at the end of the day. And then Teferi isn't very relevant against them, is it? Feels like we can afford to cut Teferi potentially. Try like that. Yep, there's their ley lines, because it feels like they have to have a ley line in play for their thing to be reasonable. That way, if we feel they're going to planeswalker us on 3, you can at least have the Dovin's veto up. Mana. Of course, I guess if they resolve a Vivian here, it's not going to really matter, huh? Still the same amount of mana either way, so... Sure. Walking Ballista on 1, sure. Fortunately, that kind of gives some information away, but... Yes, let me telegraph I have a counterspell here. One card in hand. See if it pings it. Probably shouldn't have actually left that on top. Probably we actually want a Supreme Verdict. Just to clear up all these mana dorks. Obviously, if we get a little mogged here, I don't think we're surviving anyway, so... Sure. Feels like we're in a lot of trouble. Really should have bottomed that hour promised for a Supreme Verdict. Yeah, that resolves, unfortunately. Yep. Alright, pass turn. Problem is, even if we kill Ballista and Pelucranos, alright, well, that's enough. Yeah. Alright. Definitely want the second Settle the Wreckage. It's possible they don't even have Planeswalkers in their deck, so how much do I even want these Dovin's Vetoes? Of course we say that and we'll get smacked by Planeswalkers this game. Still going to leave the Disdainful Strokes in their deck. They're still pretty reasonable in this spot. I guess Broken Bond could be pretty reasonable in spots. Dispute, not so much. Dig. I think the rest of these cards are kind of eh. And then what cut could we make here? Guess we could cut a land theoretically. No green source. Can I keep this hand with no green source? One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12? Is there really only 12 green sources? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Do I keep this hand on the back of Supreme Verdict alone? Because the rest of the hand is kind of garbage. This hand's a little bit better. Put back one of the revs. Sending a message. Oh, there's Carotid. One, two. Yep, this is like one of the worst case scenarios here. Still have no way to effectively manage that Nissa right now, which is one of the concerns I had about this deck, was the lack of ability to handle planeswalkers effectively. We're about to get Ulamogged here. Alright. Alright. Onward and up here. Word here. Does feel like what our opponent might be doing might be a bit too powerful for the format. I know Todd Anderson was able to go 10-0 in the Swiss, and then I think he made it to the finals of the PTQ for yeah, hand seems alright. Especially being on the play. How's everyone doing this morning? Hope you're enjoying the stream. Alright, so okay. So, Eldrazi, perhaps? Nope, some type of Bant Company deck. To Feral, huh? Oh, Copycat. Yay. For a Field of the Dead here. Alright, so you are a Copycat deck. gonna play this one a little bit slower, simply because I don't want to lose to the combo next turn. There's a Field of the Dead. This is a Teferi, bouncing your Felidar Guardian. Teferi's loyalty isn't relevant because they can just reset it next turn. Okay. I mean, they're getting to accumulate a large amount of value, but at the same time, don't know if that's the wisest decision in the world. Oh, okay. Sure, get to attack Teferi. So 5 plus 1. 1 mana short of what all I want to be doing this turn. Guess if I bounce Felidar and find an untapped land, we can do everything this turn. So 1, 2, 3. We could die this turn. Yep. Probably a good chance we're actually dead here. Definitely want the walking ballistas here. Solar wreckage, not so much. Disputes-ish. Veto would counter Planeswalkers, but they have Teferi in their deck. Dispute counters Teferi and Oko and whatchamacallit, but not a whole lot else. I don't know that I want to be bringing in counterspells to be fighting their combo, unfortunately. Question is, do I get another blue source or my white source? Probably my white source here. So we could easily die this turn, but I can't. There's nothing I can do to interact with the combo here, so what sets us up the best to counteract them? One, two, three, four, five. Last turn. Am I dead? Looks like the answer is no. Alright, what you got over there, friend? Another Feldar Guardian, sure. Three, four, five, six, seven. So I have two different play lines here. I can rev for a bunch or I can charge Blast Zone and potentially cycle. I think I just try not to die to the combo. Yay, fun magic. Yep, I can definitely see Copycat and Leyline getting the axe here tomorrow. There's a part of me that was like wondering if Copycat was fine for the format, but the more I watch these like decks, it just feels like they're on a little bit different playing field than some of the rest of the field. Like the Leyline deck just feels absurd against the style of deck we're doing, and then like Copycat, I mean, obviously, if we really wanted to, I guess Sultai would be the route to go. We could still have access to some pretty decent sweepers, but have some interaction for cat combo. Like I know the Yarok field decks were doing well in standard at before the bannings. But yeah, I'm thinking there might need to be some like instant speed interaction for the combo. But that's something only to consider moving forward if Copycat doesn't get the HEFO. So how would the fundamental nature of the deck change if it went? I guess you'd lose Rev, which could be a big deal, but then you could just go Krasis. This hand seems pretty reasonable. Alright, so probably another Felidar Guardian deck. Oh. Kethis combo? This is the card that's throwing me off. Alright. So, scavenger grounds and field the dead. Start making some zombies. And probably just want to hold up scavenger grounds from there on out. Yep, they're definitely Kethis combo. Target player damage but can't cast non-creature spells. Sure. See, like, Kethis combo is explosive, but it does feel a little bit more manageable with things like Rest in Peace, Scavenger Grounds, that kind of stuff. Once again, just holding up Scavenger Grounds. How about if I say no? So, feels like we're supposed to verdict here. make sure to get a different land this time. Settle the wreckage is kind of nonsense. Cathetus, the hidden hand. Question is are we dead anyway? Okay. Seriously, are they going to be able to combo us with just freaking hope of Gear 4? Yep, we're dead. So annoying. So, definitely want rest in peace. What other cards are reasonable in this situation? So the wreckage is kind of nonsense. Like, Ballista could be reasonable, but also not really. To take out the dig-through time since we're attacking the graveyard. This hand's fine-ish. Guess we want the white source in play in case we draw a rip. So there's an outside shot we could die here on turn 3. They go Kethis into a bunch of Moxes and Hopes. Two, three, four, five, six. Game's over. They can now mill themselves ad nauseum between the hopes and everything else, and we're just dead, so. Alright, one more match. So, beat the fair deck, lost to the 3 combo decks. Seems legit. I think this hand's fine. This is why we see Dig Through Time as a... Oh, Spirit's great. I mean, they have Spell Queller, the game's pretty much over. If they don't, we're in decent shape. JK. Gotta play it either way, so... Yeah, I guess bouncing rattle chains makes the most sense, huh? Guess if they have... So... 1, 2, 3, 4. Only 4 different lands right now, unfortunately. So I guess we grab Blast Zone and... Temple? Revelation's a good card, but I don't think it's quite what we're looking for here. Would really like Supreme Verdict. We're going to take a boatload of damage this turn. Two, three, four, five, six. So if this detention sphere doesn't resolve, do I have enough to do both? One. Take care of the Wanderer. Not that it particularly matters here, but if they have the Queller, we're dead either way, so. Show us Spell Queller. Of course you have it. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Alright, so Mystical Disputes seem fine. Lyras seem fine. Silver Wreckage seems like a bit of a joke. Ballista is probably too small. Dig Through Time, not so great. Spring to Mind, not so great. And try it like this. Sounds a bit risky. It is risky bottoming a second planes there, but I don't think it really gets what we want it to. That really doesn't get us where we want to. Now bombing that planes may come back to bite us. Yep, bombing the planes kind of like the only relevant decision we had in these last 4 matches, other than when to crack the scavenger grounds. So I think the takeaway from this league, is that much like modern, uh, Scapeshift really struggles with the uninteractive uh, combo decks. Like, we lost to Ramp, basically casting Ulamog twice. We lost to Kethis combo, because that deck's just kind of absurd, being able to combo on turn 4 with Teshar. And then, what was the other loss? Before Spirits. We lost to Kethis, Teshar, Phildar. So, I think one of the takeaways is, I think it's quite possible the deck needs to be the Sultai version rather than Bant. Sure, you lose access to Revelation, but the rest of the core of the deck's fine. Gives you access to things like Abrupt Decay and Abrupt Decay, Fatal Push, Assassin's Trophy. So I might look towards a Sultai version of the field deck to be reasonable. Verdicts, uncounterability is nice, but I think both Crux and what is the one that's currently legal and standard, the 4-mana Wrath. I think both of those would do a reasonable imitation of Supreme Verdict in a lot of spots. And even against Spirits, like, uncounterability is not particularly relevant because Spellcaller is their primary defense against Supreme Verdict specifically. Although Mausoleum Wanderer becomes more annoying. So, I honestly think that until or if things get banned, I think Sultai might be kind of the route you need to go, just in terms of looking at the ability to answer things at instant speed, like break up the combo. Rest in Peace is nice, but I don't think it's enough to break up the Teshar and Kethis combos anyway. You can always run Leyline in that spot if you're looking for something to shut down the combo. So, I'm not really sure that being in white other than Teferi really adds a whole lot to the deck. And the deck isn't really trying to resolve that many sorceries at instant speed anymore without Scapeshift in the deck. Another thing could just be to add Scapeshift to the deck and try to combo them in one shot. A couple different directions you can go, but it does feel like those combo matchups are pretty abysmal. It does feel like we pretty much own any fair mid-range decks. Like, even the Phoenix deck was like treasure cruising and we just didn't care. So I think that's kind of the takeaway from this league. It doesn't feel like we have enough interaction for the combo decks, and just seems like we own the fair mid-range decks. And then Spirits is just seems like it's a pretty good archetype, honestly. From the testing we did with it against Green-Black Delirium, and then watching it in action now, definitely seems like a deck that has some potential legs in this format. So, wait to see what bannings come down tomorrow. Beyond that, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I'm going to try to get back to bed here before I got to go to work. So, hope everybody has a great morning. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And we should be back with some Modern Burn here in the next day or so. So, don't forget to check that out. And don't forget to check out our other Pioneer content here on the channel. This has been John for MTG Nexus. Hope everybody has a great day.